I didn't initially want to do this trade, but I when I would get in trouble at school, I would have to go work with dad. I wasn't allowed to stay home. I'm 6'3", and the
Oh,
lifts would go to like here, so working under cars was not pleasant.
hola, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching this live. If you guys join the live chat, I appreciate you guys interacting with me and the guest. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the new channel and help the podcast out by wherever you listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcast, making sure you leave a 5-star review, hopefully, and get the podcast out to more people. And I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors that help support the podcast. If you guys are interested in the software that we use to help my business, you can go check out Jobber. If you guys follow the link in the description or go to getjobber.com/reliable HVACR, you will get a free trial and discount and see if it can help you out. I also want to thank VETO Pro Pack, best tool bags out in the market. You guys already know I'm a VETO person. I have a VETO setup for everything in my van. So if you guys want to check out the link in the description, you can go to their website, go see all the bags that they have, go check out my customer profile that's there, and show your support. And I want to thank our newest sponsor, BOSCH. They are changing the game with their inverter heat pumps. BOSCH IDS Lite 15-SEER system has it all, combining quality inverter technology and standard efficiency at an affordable price point. The outdoor unit is available in 24K, 36K, and 60K BTU capacity, and it can be paired with either a wall or ceiling air handler. Gives you plenty of installation options. The BOSCH IDS Lite will be equipped with a low GWP R54B refrigerant by this fall. Visit boschhomecomfort.us to learn more. On today's episode, we have Patrick Hansell. You can find him over on Instagram at Professional Plumbing HVAC. I will leave all his information as per usual in the description down below, so you guys can go follow him and check him out. Today, we talk about the many generations of HVAC and plumbing in his family, how he got into it and started his own thing, all the trouble that he used to get in, and much more. So enjoy the episode.
It's kind of like an in-between season for us right now.
So where are you, like what area do you service?
So I'm in Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour outside of Philadelphia.
So you
So
get all
we're
that cold weather and rainy weather, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we get kind of all the seasons here.
So what is it right now? Is it cooling down?
Yes. So like last night, we kept the windows open in the house, and I woke up this morning and it was probably like 55 degrees.
My girlfriend she can't wait for that because, when it gets, our peak winter is like 50 degrees outside and we can open all the windows up.
Yep.
So you do plumbing and HVAC, right?
I do. Yes.
How did you get into that? Like, what did you do first, plumbing or HVAC?
I've kind of done both since day one. My dad actually owned a plumbing and HVAC company growing up, so that's kind of what I've been around my whole life.
You've been doing this for the same amount as me, because you said 17 years, right?
17 years.
I started in 07.
07. Yep.
I started in at the end of 07. So like I worked at a Sam's Club. I didn't even think about getting into the trades and stuff like that. And my dad had already been doing stuff and worked his way up, and he got tired of being stuck in the office because they wanted him to be supervisor.
Gotcha.
And then he's like, he got the itch to start his own business. He's like, I'm gonna go out on my own and do what I can.
Yeah.
And something happened at his job. There was a whole like situation because somebody was like upset that he was trying to do, his own thing. You know how that goes. It's always like
Mhm.
a, a line. What do you call it? A line you have to tiptoe. And
Yeah,
he got in trouble. And he says he quit. They said they fired him. I don't know who's right.
that's how it goes every time.
And then I got that phone call. I was like sleeping in because I had work. I had like a night shift or something. He's like, I need you to come pick me up. And that's how our business started.
Just yeah. So he kind of just jumped into it and got going.
Yeah, like I started with, because I'm good with computers. Like I was like, okay, you need a logo, you need business cards, all that stuff. So that's how I got into it.
Yep.
And then he started taking me along with him. I remember doing like those weekend calls, pickup truck, just whatever hours we could get, some work in. And that's how I started, man.
Nice. Yeah, so I didn't initially want to do this trade, but I when I would get in trouble at school, I would have to go work with dad. I wasn't allowed to stay home, and I think I did 1 or 2 summers growing
I
up
can't,
working
I
for
can't,
him.
I can't wait to do that to my kids though. They're getting to that age.
Yeah. It's like no, you don't get to stay home all day. Yeah,
Nah.
you're going to work. Yeah, so I guess doing that at the time, I didn't want to do it as a career. I was
Were
kind of
you
into
like
cars.
what age were you at that time? Or what are you talking, like what age are you talking about there?
Probably like maybe 14, I think is when I did my first summer with him.
See, that's like I just talked to another guy, my guy. Like I recorded a few the other day, but like they started. Oh, it was Top Gun Mechanical.
Okay.
He started when he was like 15, 16. I'm like, I can't even imagine trying to get into the trades at that age because I'm video games, basketball,
Yep.
sports.
Yep.
Like I want to go with my
Yep.
friends, all that stuff. Because I started when I was like closer to 20, and I
Okay.
struggled then too because I was in college doing my college stuff,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine. So you were riding along with your dad, basically through your high school years.
So not really. I did that off and on, but I was actually a mechanic uh, pretty much as soon as I got my driver's license. I went to VOTech in high school for automotive. So that was my last 2 years, did that. And I actually went to a car school for 18 months and graduated and was a mechanic.
Oh, I know I cut you off earlier. Is that like a passion of yours?
At the time it was, yeah, I
Is
don't
is a
really care about.
so it was a phase?
Yeah. At this point now, a car is kind of turned into just a, a way to get around. But when you're young and Fast and Furious had come out, and
Yeah,
all the import cars and all that stuff. That
man.
was
I
kind of
still
the
don't,
path.
but I still don't get it because I had friends that were into the little Nissan cars and all
Mhm.
the little, I don't know. I guess you would call them like the little race cars because of Fast and the Furious and all that.
Mhm.
And I was like, I never liked them. Uh, my family was always into classic cars, so like
Okay.
I used to go with my dad and my uncles, and we'd buy car. Or they would find cars to buy, fix them up, do things to them. I had an uncle who loved like lowriders and doing that kind of custom work to it. I
Yeah.
never got super into it. I do like classic cars. I have one right now that's sitting at my dad's shop. Basically, it's a 1963 Pontiac, and
Okay.
it drove and everything. I was really happy with it, but it broke down, and I just have not had the time to work on it.
Those are like the really long cars, aren't they? The older Pontiacs.
Yeah, the long it was in between, the round body and the square bodies, but like it was, and I kind of like that period. Like it's not too old, not too fancy, nothing.
Mhm.
Everything I kept on it was stock. I was like, I don't want to go crazy with it, because I
Those
have I
cruise
have my
cars.
uncles that will drop it, put hydraulics on it, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
not into that completely.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free.
Yeah,
But
but
I
so
had a grandfather that did mechanic work, and that's always something that comes up a lot with the guys that I talk to. That some way or another, somebody like their dad or somebody did mechanic work, or they got into it first before they got into HVAC.
yeah, I mean, I liked using my hands, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. But then I think I worked full time in the field for like 2 years, and I was like, I hate this. I can't do this every day for the rest of my life.
What kind of work did you do? Were you at a shop or something?
Yeah, I was at like a gas station shop, like combo, and we didn't do like crazy things, but it was a lot of like, tires, brakes, oil changes, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm 6'3", and the
Oh
lifts would go to like here. So working under cars was not pleasant.
no, and I've been interested. Like I said, I had a a classic car, or whatever, but I got more into that after HVAC because I had it the other way around. I
Okay.
was not mechanically inclined. I was not good with power tools or anything like that. I learned that on the job. I got into it because of the work that we our business was.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, I can work on my own car. I can work on stuff around the house, and that's kind of how I got into that stuff too. Because my God, I had recently I finally went in and got a new truck because like you said, like the older you get, the more you don't care about that kind of stuff. Like
Yep.
my dad got me that 63 as a gift one time, and or 1 year, and it's something that we worked on together, and he still wants to work on it when we eventually get some time because business has been crazy busy this year.
Yeah.
And like I was into it at the beginning, and then I was like, okay, I need a break from it. I don't really care about cars or any of that kind of stuff anymore because I held on to, I had an SUV for a
Okay.
long time, and it started breaking down a lot, and I would just fix it. So on my last couple of vehicles, I changed out the radiator, changed out the even the I fixed the HVAC in it too, blower motors, bunch
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
other leaks and different things that it had. Like I would work on it myself. I hated taking it in, to get worked on,
Yeah.
and then they give you like a list of things that you don't need, right?
Yeah. And you don't need it. Yeah.
I was like, nah. So I started working on my own car, and thankfully, being in this trade, you can kind of do everything. You do a little bit of everything,
Yeah. Kind of
and
once you get into that mechanical mindset, it all kind of blends together.
yeah. So I worked on a lot of my cars only recently because I got tired of working on it. Did I finally go out and get a truck? And
Yeah.
but like I held on to that SUV just because I was like, I don't need a, because in my younger years, my friends all had sports cars. I wanted a Camaro at one point. I wanted a Corvette at one point, and now I'm like, I don't care. I just need it to get me from here to
Yep.
point B.
Yeah. Doesn't need to get there fast. Just needs to get there.
I got way too many speeding tickets when I was younger that I do not want anymore.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same here.
So then, you got into the mechanic side of it, and just what about it didn't you like? Like just being in one spot or repetitive
So
work?
going to the same place every day, didn't like that after a while. Um,
I can't
and
imagine, dude.
then
I can't sit still.
no, no. And believe it or not, just those couple of years of being a mechanic, my body got so messed up so fast. I was having wrist problems, back problems. Like I couldn't believe how beat up I was getting already. And then I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. It was good to know. Still
Yeah.
work on my own cars from time to time, but I wasn't going to do it forever.
I don't I What I'm always confused about is how they make money. I mean, obviously, like any trade, they upsell on some things,
Mhm.
right? But like other than that, I feel like, oil changes are like $20 and this and that. Like, I don't know. Just never
Right.
thought of it as a profitable business or too much of one.
And that I think was part of it. I feel like looking ahead, I wasn't going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when I had enough, I actually called my dad and said, "Hey, can I come work for you?" He said, "Yeah, sure." And he immediately matched my pay, and it's only grown from there. So I thought, well, this seems to be better already.
So then that school that you went to, was that after high school?
Yeah, my parents forced me to go to car school 2 weeks after graduating high school, so I had no summer vacation, nothing like that, just straight into it.
Man, okay, so then, well, how did that get decided? Like, was that your choice, their choice? Did they choose that for you?
I was getting into a little bit of trouble at that time in my life, and I think they had pretty much said, "You've got to stay busy. You've got to go to school. You've got to do something. You can, you can't have time to get in trouble, and just go," kind of thing.
Do you have any siblings?
I'm one of 6 kids.
Oh, so plenty of trouble to go around.
Yeah, so thanks. They're trying to just. I'm the second oldest. Get me going, and yeah, focus on the rest of the kids growing up.
I
So
can't imagine, dude. I have two younger brothers, and we were a handful. I can imagine six.
it was crazy.
Did any of your siblings get into the trades too? Like, did they go work for your dad? Any of them?
No, no, nobody. Nobody else is really in the trades. They're all kind of doing their own thing, but nobody's really into doing the hands-on mechanic kind of thing. No, it's just me.
Did your was your dad happy that you went to go, you know, kind of follow in his footsteps?
I think so. Yeah, we got along great. He was a good guy to work for. He was a really good teacher. Um, I liked the way he worked. He was very detail oriented, and
Was he
what?
patient?
Yes, yeah, he was. He was a
Oh,
good teacher. Yeah, yeah. I can't in
mine's
there.
not. Mine's not. The way he taught me was go figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I wasn't like thrown off by myself for a while. I was definitely the second guy in the van for a long time. Um, but it got to the point where I was able to do it myself, and things just kind of kept going up from there. I did end up taking some night classes at like a community college for HVAC. So that kind of helped out on like the refrigeration side of things.
Yeah, that was gonna be my
Once,
next question. Like, did you learn all that on the job, or did you take any class? So you were going to school at the same time you were working?
yeah. So the HVAC school was nights, but I only did that for, I don't even think it was a full year. Because like the electrical side of things wasn't that different from cars. So I kind of had a grasp on that, but really once I kind of learned the refrigeration cycle and like superheat and subcooling and stuff like that, I mean, that was enough to kind of get me going.
Was that difficult for you to grasp the refrigeration cycle part?
Not too bad. No, no, I didn't, I got a little kind of tricked up with it in the beginning, but no, I can pick things up pretty quickly. So it didn't take me too long to kind of grasp that.
Yeah, it's because the last one I did, the guy mentors HVAC animation, and he's like, I
Okay.
always try to teach him just the basics because a lot of these 4-year apprentices don't know the major components of
Okay.
a refrigeration cycle. I'm like, well, really? Like, I didn't think that was possible, but apparently some of these guys are probably thrown in to the field on their own too soon,
Hmm.
and they don't get proper training.
Yeah, it's pretty much just look at the charges and, is it good or not? And then throw some refrigerant at it. It seems to be what everyone does.
Yeah, I had that. I've had guys that work for us that I end up helping or trying to train up, I guess.
Hmm.
And they would only check like the low side, and I'm like, I need to know the high side because if you're like
Yeah.
you said, it looks like it's low on charge, you
Yep.
dump in a bunch of it, and you're like, oh man, it's not going up, and then your high head pressure just like goes through the
Through
roof.
the roof. Yeah. Yeah. It's like over 400 and you're like, what's going on here? Yeah. Yeah.
And believe me, I've done it before. When I started, man, I screwed up so much, and I'm
Oh yeah.
like, I'm only telling you from experience, right? Like I've been there.
Yeah.
I've screwed up so much that I can, because I was thrown into the field. Like, um, my dad doesn't do what I do, right? So like we're doing two different trades in our business, and he's like, I really need a refrigeration guy. So like I did learn from like a residential guy in the beginning.
Hmm.
Then I got to know some guys that kind of helped me out, but like they were like old school guys, so they had a bunch of nice, really good tips and tricks to get me out of a bind a lot, that
Hmm.
I still do some of the stuff that they tell me, or keep in mind. But I mean, they weren't with me, telling me what to do or showing me how to do things. I was going out in the field after a while, screwing up and learning on the job.
Yeah, yeah, and at the time, there was only phone calls you could make. No one could see what you were working on, and
You know exactly, the situation that we were in, because there was no YouTube, there was no social media, no Instagram, nothing like that.
couldn't look up
And
manuals.
you could, yeah, that I always tell people, and it's so weird to think about it. Like you couldn't find manuals online like you can now.
Hmm.
And it was barely, like, after a few years that I was in, it was barely becoming a thing, and I could find manuals for like maybe a handful of units, whatever it was. And even
Hmm.
then, like, I had horrible, like, the service too. You don't think about that either. Like, it took me a while to download that damn PDF or whatever it was,
Oh
to
yeah,
my
yeah.
to my phone, right? Like, it's not what it is today. It was a lot harder. So a lot of it was trial and error. And my dad was like, "That's the only way you're gonna learn," and just throw you into the fire.
Yeah, with lots of phone calls.
Oh, I know. And like my dad, he's because he's trained my uncles and some other guys. He's famous for like leaving you alone and not. He won't answer the phone like unless it's like after a while. Like he's like, okay, like now he really needs my help. But
Yeah,
he'll try and leave you somewhere. Like we work in kitchen, so he'll plop you in there and then he just disappears. And then I learned later that that's his training technique,
just throw
right?
you in the fire and work your way out of it. Yeah.
And I was so uncomfortable because I'm such an introvert,
Hmm.
and dealing with customers, I'm like, I don't know what to say, managers. And after a while, I just got to, like, suck it up and figure it out. So that was how I learned. But, now there's so many resources that you should be pretty well prepared. Like we're talking about, like, none of that existed. Now you can go on Instagram, YouTube, um, tech support. If you can get a hold of them, pretty good too. So
Yeah, tech support's usually good. Blue On is pretty good for manuals now.
I started using Blue On recently again because I hadn't used it for a while.
Yeah,
I don't think I was finding like the commercial stuff enough, or like certain brands that I worked on, because I work on like older equipment. But
they just didn't
lately,
have it.
yeah, lately it's actually worked. I've been able to look up like motors and different things that I need. Um, we rebuilt a Carrier RTU recently. I don't know why they wanted it rebuilt. New compressors, new fan motors, new blower motor, like, and I looked everything up on the Blue On app, and I'm like, man, this is so easy. I
Well,
just
like all
looked,
the parts were listed out there.
yeah, and I got all the part numbers, sent them over to my supply house. I'm like, I'll pick them up tomorrow.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because I don't use Blue On to buy stuff, but I use it to look up stuff. And I'll use Blue On. I'll use the other one is Parts Town, has gotten really good too.
Okay.
And that's, if I need to, I'll order it from there. But most times I get a part number, I send it to my supply house. I'm like, this is exactly what I need, and I'll pick it up because I don't know if you've noticed this too, but back in the day, supply house, the counter guys, I used to rely on them, right? They were
Right.
always older technicians that were like retired or, transitioned to that. Now I get a bunch of kids that are like 18, 19, and they some of them are good. I'll give them that, but a lot of them don't know what I'm talking about, and I need to know what I need.
Yeah, if you can call with the part numbers and just get it done that way at this point, it saves so much time.
I've gone in there and they don't even know what a pressure switch is. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like where do you have them? I'll find it.
Yeah, yeah. General area, please. I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out DIVERSITECH.com and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC.
It's hard, man. I miss when it was, because there's still a couple of them, and I'll go to them because like I got questions on some of the older equipment, and
Mhm.
I just wish we had more of those guys because I could talk, actual HVAC with them.
Yeah, I end up going to supplyhouse.com a lot now for like specific like oddball parts because they tend to have it.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah, I haven't had to use them, but I've heard of it, and I opened it up one time to look through it, and it has quite a bit of stuff.
yeah, and where I'm located, everything is next day free shipping for me. So if it's like a strange like board or motor and my supplier is like, oh, I don't know, could be a week. I just go to supply house and next day and there it is.
So, are you second gen in this? Did your dad start it, or was it there before him?
So I'm technically third generation. My grandfather started the company, which I actually don't even work for anymore. I started my own company.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, so he started with the fuel oil business. So here we have oil heat is pretty big around here still. And he had the oil trucks and he would deliver it and service like the boilers and oil furnaces and things like that. So that's how it got started.
And then your dad took over. Is there a reason you started your own?
I worked with my dad for 16 and a half years.
Yeah.
um, I had moved about half an hour away from the shop and I, started a family. I've got two kids and it got to the point where I wanted to be closer to home and have a little bit more flexibility with what I want to do.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I kind of went out and started my own company.
So you're it's basically like the commute and the area, and now you're in a different area.
Yeah.
Um, and what kind of work were y'all doing, like with your dad, and what, like I don't know. I know you said you can pick and choose now, but were you guys doing residential and commercial, or what kind of work were y'all doing?
It was a lot of residential and we were doing some light commercial too. So I would get involved with like the rooftop units. I worked on a bunch of them, replaced a bunch of them. We'd also do a lot of boiler work. So hot water boilers, steam boilers, that kind of work.
And then like what did you guys do more, plumbing or HVAC? Because I only do H or refrigeration technically, but
Right.
I know some companies are like an all-in-one, like you guys were plumbing and HVAC.
It's kind of like a 50-50, honestly. Because with like here with the seasons, I feel like, HVAC in the summer here, you got the air conditioning work. In the winter, it gets super cold. You got the heat work, and the plumbing kind of just fills in the rest. So spring and fall, and everything in between, it kind of keeps you going all year round.
Which one do you prefer?
I'm starting to go more towards plumbing now. I actually went to plumbing school, so we have a PHCC association here. I don't know if you guys have that where you're at.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Like the plumbing, heating, cooling contractors. They're like a nationwide
Yeah.
association. There's like a chapter here. They bought a building, and I went and I actually got my master's license through them for plumbing. So I've been kind of taking on more and more plumbing work at this point, and I've also gotten into drain cleaning. So that's kind of another fun thing to do.
Is that something simple, or like, because I follow a lot of plumbers on
Mhm.
like Instagram, and I've seen a lot in my feed. Does not look like easy work.
Depends on how far you want to take it. You can just be a company that just does like basic cabling and the basic little blocks, or like where I've gotten to at this point is I have a sewer jetter, which is like a big trailer with a water tank and an engine, so I can pressure wash drain lines, and that's a kind of another level beyond just regular drain cleaning.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've there's like an inside joke about drain cleaning that I've seen with like some of the bigger plumbers. I don't know. I think they have these little back and forth. What do you call
Yeah.
it? Bickering about it.
Is drain cleaning really plumbing? Are you a
Yes.
plumber? Yeah. Yeah. So I see those and I just laugh because I'm like, you know what? Just do it all. It doesn't matter to me.
I guess that's like well, like for me it's like we're getting more into like I guess like the maintenance side of things,
Hmm.
which I used to hate. I don't know, maybe that's something similar, but like I used to hate it and I would never want to do it, and now it's just a really good source of income for us. I've had a lot of customers because a lot of the ones that we do are like chains, right? So they have 18 plus stores in our area, and I'm like, well, that's 18 stores that I can sell a maintenance plan to,
Yeah.
and it keeps us busy. I actually have one to do this month, and it's kind of a well, we're getting a lot of rain right now, so I'm trying to squeeze it in when I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the guys who do the maintenance are the guys who most likely are going to get the work when something goes wrong. And I've been pushing to kind of get my own maintenance contracts going with my company. It's kind of been a little bit of a slower start because around here, there's all these huge companies that advertise like $20, $40,
As soon as
maintenances.
you said you were trying, I was like, I can imagine because um, those are because I've seen some incredibly cheap like that online. Around
Hmm.
here, it was like a 50, I don't know, maybe $50 that I saw, like $49. And
Hmm.
then I've seen some in other areas, like you said, like $20 or something like really stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? Like it honestly, they're not gonna leave there just charging you $20. Like there's something else
No.
to it. And the customer doesn't realize that. They just see the $20 or whatever it is. And it sucks because I used to like we've been in business, this long. I kind of started taking over like maybe the halfway point, the past like 6 to 8 years.
Hmm.
And before, I mean, I was always worried about like, me and my dad were worried about pricing and being competitive. Trying
Hmm.
to, we see something like that and we're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? And we gotta try something. And now I'm like, screw it. Like our price is our price, right?
Yeah. Don't
And
do it. Yeah.
and it's funny because we've grown at a rapid pace in the past like 5 years, like compared to when we were more worried about it, trying to
Yeah.
be, competitive or more competitive. And it just it never worked out. After we kind of put our foot down, business has been great.
Yeah. And I feel like when I started about a year and a half ago. I did it. I was working pretty much two jobs. I was working for my dad during the day and doing my company at night. Um, a lot of my new customers were all a lot of price shoppers. So if you weren't at the level of those, cheap maintenance agreements, then they didn't really want you. Um,
That
and it was
that's
kind of hard
that's
to.
the hard part about running the business. So you're like you're almost a year in, right? You said like
So I
how
went
long?
full time with it at the end of May this year.
Oh, so you're still in that this year. Okay. So you're still in that phase of trying to figure that out because
Hmm.
um and I was going to say earlier because you mentioned, oh, you do the maintenance. I mean, you're more than likely to get the work. I've had it happen to where I do the maintenance and then I recommend because I have to.
Hmm.
They have an app for commercial. They have an app for us that we write down everything that we find wrong. They have us take pictures. It makes us do a lot of things, and that's the customer. That's the customer's app. Like it's not ours. I don't.
Okay.
I don't really keep that much track of that kind of stuff. Like I'll make it in my own notes, but like I don't turn it into the customer. That customer has an app where I have to do all that stuff. So so that I don't get into any trouble, right? Because they're gonna be like, well, what's the maintenance for? Like I have to write, okay, I found a bad, capacitor. I found a bad contactor. Something's failing. Something's going out. I'll recommend everything I can in the notes. I've had it happen to where I do that because it's every that one is every 6 months. I
Hmm.
go back 6 months later to do the next round, right? And I'm like, man, they never called us for that. And they have a brand new compressor or a brand new motor, and they went and got the cheaper company to do it. So like you deal with it on all levels,
Yeah.
But like, to me, like, don't get discouraged because we wrote it out, right? And now they tried somebody. Now they're all of a sudden we're getting all the work again because now I'm getting a bunch of calls from them.
Yeah. When things
Because
don't go well.
they find out, you know, that
Yeah.
other company may not know how to do, you know, anything super technical. Like they didn't. Well, we're doing the maintenance, so we found the problems. But like a lot of these companies can't. They can't do too much, right? Or they don't
Can't
answer
diagnose.
the phone, or they're hard to get to. Like it's stuff. Something always happens.
Yeah. Yeah. More of a parts swapper kind of company that comes in cheap and gets in and gets out and doesn't care if it works right after that.
I had that recently with another one, but yeah,
Yeah. That's,
I had one that was throwing parts at a freezer, and I went in there and fixed it like within an
yeah.
hour. I'm like, it needed none of this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
So you're still starting out, but so then that overlapped with your, you know, working for your dad. Then
Hmm.
did you plan it like that?
I didn't want to leave him kind of high and dry.
Well,
So
how big is his company?
it was actually just he and I and my grandfather.
Oh,
So it was small, but I don't know. I would see where they were at in their age, and they wanted to keep working. And I realized that when I'm their age, I don't want to be in the field anymore, kind of thing.
hey man, I'm not gonna knock you because I'm getting to that age where I'm like, I would love to just train people to do this.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I thought. It was time to work close to home, try and build a company, trying to get something established for myself to maybe, down the line here, I can kind of step back and run a company and not have to be in the field every day and doing everything.
Yeah, it's like there's always like everybody's goals are different, like or everybody's success is different too, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, my grandpa was the same way, man. He worked until like I don't even know how old he was, but he was like way up there in age, and he's like, no, I need to work. I need to do something. Like he used to be, like I said, a mechanic.
Yeah.
Then he couldn't do that anymore, and he started working for the city for different things. Like he just always wanted to work. My dad looks like he's the same way, but I think he's realizing, you know, he needs to slow down right now,
Yeah.
and you know, it's a good thing, right? I mean, your body can only take so much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 38 at this point, and I'm feeling like within the past year, things are starting to feel a little bit different.
I am 37. I'm right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I don't know. How much longer can we go?
No, and it's funny because I was going through some comments that I had earlier because you know I've been finding myself buying equipment that helps me with my job, right? So
Mhm.
I've been buying all the fancy like NAVAC stuff, the battery powered stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What's the other stuff that I had? The little mini torches I have. Like I've been getting all this stuff because it makes my job a lot easier. I'm like I don't want to be hurting at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. Make it lighter, make it automated, whatever it takes. Yeah. 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 I finally got the NAVEC flaring tool last year, and that thing's awesome.
I don't even do mini splits, and I bought it, and I was like
Yeah.
I could use it, and I have used it when I do see flares, right? Because I see them on the refrigeration side, like on service valves, and I
Mhm.
started using like flare dryers and you know different ways
Yeah.
I could use it, and I was like I'm gonna do it because um, that just makes it. I mean, the guys that do it every day, the installs, the mini splits, it's perfect. But I've been slowly like getting into it. The tubing expander has been a big one for me. Just like going in there and punching it out, and then you know brazing.
I keep looking at the expander and I'm torn. I'm like, do I go with an expander or do I just spend the money on like RLS straws at this point? Like, I don't know which kind of direction to go.
Oh, that's another comment that I got because I have the RLS one too. And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, the fittings are so much," and I'm like, "Only the like the really big pipe." Because he mentioned that it was like 20 some bucks. I was like, "That's like for the 7/8 fittings, right? I do a lot
Yeah.
of 3/8, 5/8, and other sizes. I'm like, those I can get them for like $7 online, and it's not like
Yeah.
you're giving them away. I mean, you charge for everything.
Yeah. And the time you save using them, that price doesn't matter at this point. You know, you don't have
No,
to, you don't have
most
to
of
fill
it,
nitrogen, you
yeah,
know.
most of it is an investment in the
Yeah.
beginning, right? Just like
Yeah.
anything, I saw that you have quite a bit of tools in your arsenal for like plumbing and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I'm sure well, you said you've been looking at or eyeing some of this stuff too. I'm sure you go out and see all the new stuff. You're embracing like the new tools, technology,
I
all
have,
that.
yep. I have no problem with it. Yep.
I get a lot of people that are old school and they're like, no, I still want my analogs. I still want to do
Yeah.
everything by hand. I'm like, I don't.
No, I've done the analogs. I've had the PT chart cards. I'm
I had
done
the
with all
PT
that
chart in my
stuff.
back pocket at all times. I
Yep.
was like, I don't
Yeah.
want
No,
to do that
thank you.
anymore.
Yeah. Digital's fine. I'm all right with it.
No, yeah. So like I've gone into that. It just reminded me because I had comments about it, like, like the torches are so much cheaper. I'm like, the torches are freaking heavy. I got my
They are.
Ambro controls set, and I do a lot of rooftop work, so that stuff saves me. Like I said, I don't know, I've been feeling it more these past couple of years. I was like my
Yeah.
knees, my back.
Yeah. Whatever you got to haul up and down on the ladder, it's not pleasant. Do you ever have to go to the commercial buildings that have the ladders like built in where they're like straight up and down? Like it's
Like
not like,
in the building or on the
like in the buildings kind of thing.
our main customer has those, and I remember I mentioned it one time in one of my videos. I was like, if you have these, right, because they're old, they
Hmm.
rot too. I'm like, make sure you test each of the rungs because
Yep.
I had a couple snap on me, and there's no other way to get up on the roof.
No, they're super sketchy. The bolts are always loose,
Oh yeah,
and
it's
yeah,
always like
it's
shaking off the wall.
yeah, yeah. I always feel
There,
like because I'll have like
there's
a backpack going on the roof, and I feel like the weight is just way worse when you're going up those ladders.
after a while because like when I started, I was real like gung ho. I had a backpack, tool bag for everything. I was like, I packed it out. It was super heavy. After a while, like I lightened the load. Obviously, like I got a smaller bag, but I realized roping everything up is easier because
Yeah,
did not trust those ladders. Like I said, that's all I would see. I think even the customer I had before that we don't do anymore. Like that's all they had, the built-in ladders inside, and the roof hatches never work either. Like I don't know, it's convenient, but
yeah,
it's a pain.
yeah. They're scary.
I had one. I had one hit my head recently. I think
Oh, jeez.
the pain barely went away because I didn't. It was one of those that didn't latch right. Like you had to like kind of swing it open hard and make
Mm,
sure it latched. And then I had another one that I thought I latched. So that one I didn't latch it. I just it came. It didn't go all the way up. It came down and I hit my head. Uh, still managed to
they're not
work.
light.
Yeah, I still managed to work through it. I had a headache the rest of the day, but I had another one that I did latch, but it wouldn't stay latched, and the thing came down as I was like about to pull myself up.
Oh, jeez.
I honestly thought I lost my fingers. Um,
Yeah.
I had my hand up there, but luckily that one was so messed up that when it would close, it left a gap.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you got
And I was
lucky.
like, "Oh my god, I got so lucky." So like after that, I always like double check the hatches.
Yeah, yeah. Have like a prop rod or something with you to kind of hold them.
No, I remembered because today I went to a job that I hadn't or a location I hadn't been to in a while, and the roof hatch, the whole like there's no lever, there's no handle. Like I have to prop it up and kind of push it back over a
Hmm.
little bit. I was like, geez, and I tell them all the time, like, fix this crap.
It's just like a lid with nothing on it.
Yeah. And then I have the roofs that are super tall, so like I've been stranded on a few of those when the wind knocks my ladder over.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I haven't lost a ladder yet, but I'm waiting for the day.
I had I have it's called a lockjaw ladder grip. I got it. I think I found it on Instagram or something. And that's what I used to lock my ladder to the gutters, because that
Yeah.
that customer always, it's in a strip mall, like all their locations, and it has a gutter. And I was like, this is perfect. So that's why I do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. Yeah. Might as well have it. Save you a few hours of phone calls and
Waiting
standing
around. Yeah.
around. Yeah.
So then, is it just you at your company, or how are
So
you
it's
doing
just
things?
me. Yeah. Yeah. You
Does
know,
it get overwhelming?
not yet. I feel
So
like
you're still building it up, and it hasn't gotten to that point yet.
no, not yet. There are some weeks where I'm like, all right, are we there yet? Is it time? Like, and then things will go crazy for weeks, and then it'll kind of dip down for a week, but then it goes right back again. So I don't know. I'm hoping within the next year, I could hire somebody. I've had people call and ask for jobs, but I'm not there yet.
It's hard because you got to make sure you got that steady paycheck for them, the
Mhm.
income coming in. Because
Mhm.
we tried to hire very soon, and we had to lay off some guys, and like a couple of, like, when we started, it was like relatives that came to work for us, and I had a cousin that used to come help us too. And my dad always felt bad because he was like, I can't pay you, like we're too slow.
Yeah.
And the guys didn't want to leave, like they liked working for us, and oh, we'll wait it out, and my dad's like, okay, like he tried to get
Yeah.
back to paying them as quickly as possible, but it was tough.
Yeah. That's tricky. Like, I want to hire somebody, but at the same time, like I finally just bought my own van like last week because I've been working out of a pickup truck. So I'm like,
Oh,
these
okay.
these vans are so expensive now. I'm like, if I
Yep.
hire someone, not only do I have to pay them, but I have to pay for another vehicle, and it's tricky.
What'd you get?
I got a 22 Transit 350, and it has like the 12-foot like box on the back.
Oh,
So it
okay.
looked like it was a moving vehicle at some point. So it
Yeah,
has the back like slide up door. But the
that's
only
nice. I
reason
kind I kind of wanted one of those.
this one has a side door as well, which is why I wanted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't have to use that big door all the time. I can kind of
Yeah.
just pop it out.
Yeah, because I had seen one and I was like, man, that's kind of cool, like for bigger jobs, because we have some big equipment. Sometimes we need to take out some lifts and things,
Yeah.
and we ended up just getting like a trailer to tow around. But I had seen some of those. I'm like, man, that's kind of cool. Um, I
I
finally got a
thought it was cool.
Transit myself.
Yeah, they're nice. I like them.
I was an Express guy forever, Chevy Express. I was like,
Yep.
this is all I want. Until I got the Transit, I was like, oh, okay, this is nice.
It rides so much nicer. My last with my dad, I had an Express, and it worked, but they're dated at this point.
I know right now because I got the Transit, and I know the Express comes with an option, but we would always buy them like locally, so it was whatever they had. But there was the option for a sliding door. I've seen it
Mhm.
on the Express. I mean, it's probably super rare because I've never seen anybody else with it, but I had seen it online or something. I was like, oh, it's an option. That made a big difference when I went to a Transit, getting that sliding door. Because I
Yeah.
deal with restaurants and, like I said, strip malls and stuff like that. I got to be in the parking lot sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm up against other customers and cars and stuff,
It's tight. Yeah.
and it was always hard to get stuff out of the side door.
Yeah, because they swing open, and yeah. Yeah,
And then
this
the people
transit.
always park super close, and
Oh yeah,
even if
especially.
I had this, I was talking to Jake with Knights, and I was like, dude, every time I park, and it's happened like a handful of times in the past like week, I park at the end of the parking lot. Does
Yeah.
not fail. Somebody comes and parks next to me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you're like that guy with the sports car, just trying to stay away, but somebody's always there.
Always. You said you get to kind of pick and choose. Was that something that was a factor in doing your own business too?
I wanted to get into drain cleaning. That was a big one.
So did your
Uh,
dad have a different way of doing things over there?
uh, I think as he was getting older, he wanted to do less and less, and he was, I think, was picking and choosing more and more. And I kind of wanted to just do everything.
Oh, you want to do
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, 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 pretty much. Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know if it was that way or the other way around.
Yeah, no, I was ready to just kind of keep going. Pretty much anything that anybody wants. I don't care how small it is, how big it is. Go do it and make everyone happy and get my name out there and make happy customers.
Yeah, that's how you do it. It's funny because, like I said earlier, like maintenance is a really good income for us, and it's the most boring part of my job.
Yeah,
And lately, I've been, we have the same customers, and it's just each one has like I said, 18 stores, 20 stores, whatever it is. So I see the same thing over and over.
yeah.
So lately, like I said, we've been growing a little bit, and I got some new customers coming in, right? New restaurants, new this and that. I'm like, this is what I want. I want like something different. I want to see more variety, right? Because I got
Yep.
tired of seeing the same equipment every time. Because every location for these customers is like copy and paste. And I mean, it's good. It's easy. It's something familiar, but I'm in the same boat. I love to see or be challenged,
Mhm.
do more things, see a variety. That's what I love about what I do.
Yeah, and that's with residential, at least for my area, every house is completely different. I have no idea what type of equipment I'm going to walk into with every call. The newer houses are going to have probably a gas furnace or a heat pump,
Do you
but
see a lot of newer houses or older houses?
uh, it's a kind of a blend of both because
Because
our area.
I get really jealous of like Jake on nights,
Mhm.
because he lives in Florida, and I was like, dude, you service like really nice neighborhoods because all of his are like in the garage. It's like a really nice install. Like, he's doing the repairs and stuff, but I'm like, dude, that is a really nice, access. Everything's like nice, and I'm like
Mhm.
here, or at least what I've seen, because I don't like to do residential, so I passed it on to my friends. I was like, it's like weird attics, hot attics, weird spaces. I'm like, I wouldn't want to do it.
The majority of our equipment here is in basements.
Oh, that's right. I
I was going to say,
forgot.
do you have basements where you are?
No.
No. Okay.
Would be nice, but no, it's all attics.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to look at an attic air conditioner tomorrow. Um, but yeah, like around here, sometimes you get lucky and the basement entrance, the basement either has a door that goes right outside or it's like through the garage if you're lucky. But a lot of times you have to go like through the house, and bringing equipment in and out can be kind of a pain because you got to be careful in these nicer houses,
Mm.
you know, with doing change outs and things like that.
So then, as far as like your plumbing side of it, because I don't know anything about plumbing,
Yeah.
is that really like a nasty side of the job? Like, I don't know, how dirty does it get?
It can get dirty, which I'm surprised with you being in kitchens, you're not used to the dirty stuff too.
I don't know. It's because like I see some plumbers on Instagram, and it's like the stuff that they share. They go into these look like bathrooms at Walmart and stuff, and they have to deal with like clogs and all these other you know issues. I'm like, how do you go to lunch after that?
I definitely wear gloves.
So
uh, it doesn't bother me.
stay covered,
Yeah,
and
stay covered.
do
I
you
mean, you're
keep
gonna.
like extra clothes or anything?
I should be. I haven't been, but I got sprayed last week and I didn't have a change of clothes. Now I think once you get past a certain point, you don't even think about it.
It's just a
Um,
job.
yeah, I don't mind the sewage as much. It's the one thing it does get me is grease traps. They're disgusting.
I was
They're
like, I deal with grease a lot.
yeah, yeah. The grease traps I think are way worse than anything sewage.
Because I had to learn that or get used to that when I started. I would go because this equipment that I work on is in a tight kitchen usually. Now, right now, I do more fast food places, and it's an
Mhm.
open kitchen. It's not that bad. But before, like I would do these restaurants that had real narrow kitchens, and they had
Yep.
everything like back to back. So it was like prep cooler, some fryers, and then like they're reaching like the tall coolers and freezers and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, it's one thing to get in there and fit in there. It's another thing when you get on top of the unit, because everything's on top, like the
Mhm.
motors and everything. And I didn't know it. And I ruined so many uniforms because I lean on it and it's covered in grease, and
Oh
then I'm
yeah.
like I'm stuck to it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that is nasty. I mean, I deal with the customer. Sometimes they have. I know where not to eat because some of these customers have like pest problems, you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I just tell them about it. I mean, it's not my. I can't do anything about it. I'm not health department or whatever, but I'm like, hey, you got this problem. You know, they're crawling around. You might want to do something about it. But yeah, that part of it, like I said, I haven't dealt with it too much recently,
Mhm.
except one that I went to. Like I opened the walk-in cooler and like everything crawled out. But um, yeah, they just know not to eat there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when you have to tell people when they want to go out, like, I can't go there. I've seen too much.
I always tell my friends like, don't ask me. Don't ask me because it's usually bad.
It's gonna ruin it for everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, if you have a favorite place, do not ask me.
Yeah. And
Um,
I've done work in kitchens and restaurants, and I know if I get a call to go to one, I'm bringing a piece of cardboard with me because if I'm going to
oh
lay
yeah,
down on the ground anywhere,
yeah. I
yeah,
haven't talked about that in a while because I haven't had any guys that do kitchen work on here, but cardboard is your best friend. Like when you get there, make sure that they have cardboard thrown in the back, take some with you.
yep,
Not only for like the grease and the dirty floors, but like, I mean, they're in there. They don't, they don't really care that you're there. You're going to be on the floor. They're going to be stepping over you.
yeah,
There's water, there's stuff that is splashed around on the floor. Like, oh man, yeah, I haven't had to work in a kitchen like that in a while.
yeah. It's I feel like some of these kitchens are like ice skating rinks when you go in there.
Oh yeah,
Like you
they
can,
don't have the mats and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
some
you
of
don't
them
have
are
the
good
right.
about it. So you've done kitchen work?
I have. I mean, more
S-
on the plumbing end of it, but
So like
uh,
at your business, do you only offer like AC services, or have you done any refrigeration work?
with my current company, I don't necessarily get into refrigeration. But if I go into a kitchen, like I'll deal with like the 3 compartment sinks, if they need gas lines hooked up, things like that.
Yeah, we've another nasty one is the garbage disposals. My dad works on those.
Though you have the big ones at the restaurants. Yeah, yeah, those things are pretty wicked.
It's always the food. I mean, like even in the coolers, I was talking to somebody the other day. Like I deal with a lot of like small coolers, and like they're not deep cleaned, right? Food falls in weird places, and it starts to smell.
Yeah, it lives there.
It grows there. What is the best part of it? Like, what is something what is your favorite thing to do? Whether it's plumbing or HVAC or anything in particular? Because I always tell people I love like the commercial side of my stuff. Like I love
Mhm.
doing walk-in boxes and freezers.
Um, Tankless water heaters. Those are
Are
my
they are
favorite.
they are they good?
They're awesome. Yeah.
Because okay, what brand do you guys install?
Right now, I'm giving Bradford White a try because they've got a good reputation with all their tank equipment. I actually put a Bradford White tankless in my house last year to kind of try it out, and it's been fine. And I started putting them in for
Are there
everyone.
any drawbacks to tankless?
Um, it can take a couple extra seconds to kind of get hot water to a faucet versus like a tank style. That like initial kind of firing
Hmm.
can add some time, but no, other than that, they're they're awesome.
Okay, because we have an issue with our tank heater here, and I was like, man, should we go tankless? We were like talking about it, and I just see it all over social media. I'm like, it looks cool.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you got to make sure your gas meter's big enough. That's a big one, and that your gas main coming in is big enough.
Oh, we have
Because
electric here.
oh, you guys have electric tankless.
Is that bad?
No, no. So around here, it's all we just do natural gas
Yeah.
tankless usually. The electric tankless requires a ton of electricity to it. I think you need a double 60 amp breaker for like a whole house, which is pretty large.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of houses you got to do like a panel and service upgrade to even get them to work.
Okay, we'll just put another tank heater in because we need to replace the one that we have, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like, and then like here, I don't know. I mean, it hasn't happened in a while, but we do have like the hurricane weather coming in.
Yeah.
We lose power a lot, so I'm like, I don't know.
Do you guys have gas where you're at or at your house?
Well, when I moved in, it had already been converted. There was gas here. I think we have a guest house in the back, and I think there's still a gas stove in that one.
Okay.
But even with my parents, they kept a gas stove too, funny enough. But everything else is electric in their house, like the AC, the water heater, all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that's the way it is here. Everybody's going electric because I'm even seeing that on the commercial side. I don't see a lot of gas hookups for RTUs and stuff like that whenever they get a new unit, because a lot of it's like in that range right now. Like they've just been replaced or they're about to be. They all get electric.
Do they do like a heat pump or do they do like the element kind of backups?
Just the element.
Okay. All right.
I recently, like I want to say like maybe it was 2 years ago now, recently just started seeing a couple of commercial heat pumps, and I had never seen that before.
I don't think I've ever seen a rooftop heat pump.
I saw, I think it was like two of them. They were the Carrier RTUs, and I opened it up and I'm like, oh, what the hell? I saw like a reversing valve. And I was like, oh, hopefully. And it was an electrical issue. Thank God. I was like, I do not want to change out reversing valve on one of those, because I've seen it looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, reversing valves, they're not fun. I've only done a handful in my job, but yeah, they're a huge pain in the butt.
I think I've seen enough videos that I can know how to tackle it, but it just either any way you do it, it looks like one of those that like you said, not fun.
No. I mean, like with the older stuff with R22, I don't think it was as bad because you could technically silver solder, I guess, that stuff, but like brazing now and trying to get it flown in all the right directions, and yeah, no thanks.
What I had written down was like, how do you deal with like your rough days? Like, do you have any hobbies or anything else that you are into right now?
So I don't have a lot of time right now.
I don't either. I used to have, like I mentioned earlier, like video games, and I used to play basketball. I was like, I did so much, and I feel like now, like I can't. Like it's the family. It's getting some sleep, getting some of this stuff done, and getting back to work.
Yeah, because like even tonight, like while we were waiting, I was here trying to build out like preloaded estimates in Jobber for me to be ready for my job tomorrow. I'm going to for an estimate, and it's constant computer work, and yeah, it never stops. But when I do get a chance, I actually work on electronics. I think just like it sounds like you have.
Like as a hobby?
For fun, yeah. So I'll work on like old video games and consoles and solder and do capacitor replacement.
I used to do that. And I was actually doing like screen repairs and like replacing cameras and all that, like on smartphones and iPads and all that stuff. I used to do it as a hobby. I don't like doing it anymore. But friends and family will still hit me up like, hey, can you fix this for me? Yep. And I'm like, yeah, like I just don't like doing it anymore. And yeah, it used to be fun. I used to like doing that kind of stuff, which is why before I realized I could do this, right, the whole HVAC thing, I was trying to go to school for electrical engineering. I wanted to like design and build stuff and get into the more electronic side, because I've always found that fascinating. I still do, but I don't want to work on it.
Well, that's like if I see like a burned out board on a system, I always like take the board afterwards and I'm looking at it. I'm like, all right, can I fix this?
Have
Like,
you ever tried that?
I think I've cleaned like a cold solder joint once, but I don't know where they source a lot of these chips and how they're programmed for a lot of
Oh,
these.
like to replace the relays or the chips?
Yeah, yeah. But no,
Man,
I
like,
like I always stare at them like, all right, and what went bad on this? Like, is it just like a burnt out leg? Like, can I put a new little trace on there?
it's difficult now because we are going to everything electronic.
Hmm.
So I'm not really good at soldering or anything like that. I never got that far into that hobby, but
Okay.
I've seen other guys that do, like the guys that do residential, right? Like all the new systems have boards in them,
Yep.
and there'll be a short or something pops and it you can you turn around the board and you see that burn mark. I've seen guys at least find the problem with whatever it was, rubbed out wire, whatever it was, and then like to get them going, they'll resolder like the I don't know, I have to look it up, but whatever connection on the board got broken, they'll
Hmm.
solder it to make that connection back, right? So I feel like that's another skill that we might need, which
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
more.
you got a head start on that already, but with everything going electronic, I feel like that's something else that you kind of got to keep in mind is because like for me, on even on the refrigeration stuff, I see it too. Like walk-in coolers and stuff, they all have boards now.
Yep.
And if something goes wrong on that thing, or like something rubs out and causes a short back, you need a whole new board. Sometimes I gotta wait for that board. Like I can't get them by any other way, or I don't know how. So I don't
Yeah.
know if we're gonna have to get into the electronic side and more of that and soldering, soft soldering, silver soldering, all that as part of our skill set now.
Yeah, yeah, like swapping out resistors and maybe a fuse that's like soldered on is blown. That
The
could be.
little capacitors and relays that are on those things, like we're gonna have to probably get in, or we're going into that direction.
Yeah, because everything's proprietary now, so like you can't just grab parts as easily as you could.
You can't
Uh,
bypass anything anymore
yep, yep.
because it was all just switches and mechanical controls, and you could just bypass it till a part came in or whatever. And now
Contacts, relay.
now I'm like, yeah, now I'm like, okay, well, I've even seen on residential that the capacitors are built into the board too, like, and those give
Mhm.
out so frequent.
Yeah, yeah. Capacitors get knocked out all the time. Yeah.
And now it's part of the board, that from what I've
Yep.
seen. So yeah, like I had one that was like, it was the fans wouldn't come on. It was obviously the fan relay on the board. I think I got lucky that time. I just ended up giving it direct power, but I'm like, man, that's so weird. Like I have to replace a whole damn board because of one relay, right? So like eventually if we can get those parts, those relays, those whatever they are, capacitors, all those little things that go on there, that might be the new thing to do.
Let's put another tool on the truck.
Add another skill to the to HVAC.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we got to do it all now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
All right, man. So we've been here over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything you've learned along the way, or anything that helped you when it clicked, for viewers? Because a lot of people that watch or listen are newer guys. There's anything that helped you, in your journey?
I think just what a lot of guys already say: read the manuals. If you don't know what you're doing, don't be afraid to ask questions. Yeah, yeah. I mean, speak up if you don't know. Let someone know. Uh, try different things when you're in the field. Don't stick to one kind of track when you're first getting started. See if you can work for a company that will let you try install and maybe try service. That way you can kind of get an idea of how everything works, from the install all the way to the repair, and kind of see what you like, and then go from there. Um, but yeah, yeah, don't get stuck in one track and then be unhappy. You know.
Oh yeah, a lot of people get stuck doing or in that situation, and it's always like, and people ask me about that. How I guess to compare it, like where they're at to any other, like as far as like pay or like regions or companies or
Mhm.
whatever it is, there's always another company. There's always a better place. Just, look, because as far as like pay, you're going to start out low, work your way up.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how this
skills,
trade.
yeah. Skill set, like you said, if you can do a little bit of everything and learn everything, you're going to become more valuable to your company, to those companies that you want to apply for. So
Mhm.
learn as much as you can and soak it in.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I've had friends that have worked for companies that they'll stick them in one spot and they'll do the same kind of work, even though they want to try something else. And
And they
I've
won't
told
let
them,
them, right?
yeah, if they don't let you, go somewhere else. Tell them you're going to leave. Go to another company. Everyone's hiring now. I mean, there's no shortage of jobs. So
Now,
if your company doesn't want to
business,
help you,
I feel like business has been booming recently in the trades because even here where I live, like it was small town, not much going on here, and now we have construction everywhere, housing going up everywhere, a whole
hmm
bunch of new businesses opening up, like it's crazy.
oh yeah, yep. And there's less and less of us, so plenty of work.
We need to get some young guys in here.
Yeah, big time.
So how's your real quick, how's your business doing since you started? Like, is it going along like your is it on the track that you want it to be on, or are you anything difficult about it?
Uh, it's been good. The first few months were way busier than I anticipated, which
That's
was a good
always a good
thing.
problem. Yeah.
It was busy enough to where I could comfortably buy a van. So, yeah, no, I think at this point, I just my name is getting out there more and more. I'm growing. I'm getting new calls from new people almost every day. Yeah, I'm happy.
No, it's good,
I'm happy
man.
with
Good to
where it's
hear.
going.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show, and thanks again for sitting down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in too, and we'll see you next time.